There are places in the world that are spiritual. And experiencing the Lost River mountain range in southeast Idaho feels like playing at the feet of the gods. This is Idaho's tallest range, full of rocks, history, and adventure for those who come calling. With a valley full of ranches, rivers, and rangeland, this part of Idaho in many ways feels like a vestige of the Wild West. This is where our adventure begins, the land of the Lost River Range. Venture to Roam is partially supported by Onyx Off-Road, an off-road mapping app that helps you navigate your adventures on and off the grid. Onyx has a new cell service layer, which gives you valuable coverage information on your cell phone network when you're out in the backcountry. You can save 20% on your Onyx subscription by clicking on the link in the description or the QR code on the screen now.
Hi, I'm Will from Venture to Roam, and we are out in the middle of some of the most beautiful mountains in the entire country, but specifically in Idaho. So it is at the end of winter, and we wanted to get up here and see some of these beautiful mountains with snow still on them. So we're up between the Pioneer Mountains and the Lost River Range. Now the Lost River Range, these are the highest mountains in Idaho. These are 11, 12,000 foot peaks, and they are some of the most majestic mountains I've ever seen. So this trip, we are just enjoying the mountains as much as we can. We're gonna try to get up as close to them as possible. But tonight, we are staying in a very special place. So tonight we are staying at the ranch where the Range to Ranch retreat is happening this June 19th to the 22nd. It's gonna be the first overlanding event like this in this part of Idaho. So there'll be vendors here, there'll be overlanders camping, there'll be trail runs during the day, there'll be campfires and music and stuff at night. And I'm really excited that we're getting something like that out here in Idaho, especially in this part, which is one of the most beautiful parts of Idaho. So we're just getting here and setting up camp, and I'm excited for 3 reasons. 1, this is gonna be our view all night, which is incredible. 2, my 2 best friends are here, Chris and Lance, and this is the first time we've been out on a trip, just the 3 of us, since we did the Rubicon Trail last summer. And 3, we're gonna have some world-class steak tonight. The steak that we're gonna eat for dinner tonight comes from Hindman Beef, this ranch. It's American Highland cows, it's American Wagyu cows that they raise, all very local, very sustainable. They make ground beef from one animal. I mean, I just met the people that own the ranch, and I'm so impressed with them and what they're trying to do. I love that they're trying to stay local, and it really speaks to, you know, how I like to eat and how my friends like to eat. And so it's great to kind of align philosophies, but most importantly, I cannot wait to taste how good that steak's gonna be tonight. So Lance, this sustainable beef thing's like right up your alley, right?
I've been searching for this for quite a while now that I'm pretty much beef every day. Trying to find a way to get it that's non-industrial ag. Getting access to local folks it's critical.
Man, this place is just spectacular. So the scenery just surrounding it, the mountains are just gorgeous. The people are so nice. And I have to say, like, those cattle is, you know, I don't refer to animals as cute very often, but those Highland cattle they're damn cute.
They're pretty cute.
Yeah.
They're also delicious.
Yeah, I can't wait to eat one.
I quickly finished up setting up my camp, and Lance decided to start a fire because even though it was a sunny day, there was a cold wind blowing. Jeff and Mia, the ranch owners, grabbed some extra firewood for the night as well, and they grabbed a sample box for us from Hindman Beef. It included multiple packs of ground beef, an American Highlands flank steak, and 2 American Wagyu T-bones. There was also this incredible brisket, but we all decided this was way too much beef to try to cook on this trip, so some other lucky person will get to have that brisket. However, as I took a closer look at the meat, my hopes for having these steaks tonight were crushed.
Jeff and Mia, the ranch owners, just got that meat out of storage today, and so it's just a little bit too cold. It's still maybe just a little frozen in the middle, and so I don't want to take any chances. Like I want to cook it just right because this is like probably the best steak I'll ever have. So we're gonna wait until tomorrow night to eat that steak. So tonight we're just gonna fend for ourselves. I'm gonna go sit around the fire, sit around the solo stove, and warm up because it's really cold. It's really windy and cold out here right now, and then see what we're gonna do for dinner.
As we warmed up around the fire, we started thinking about the day ahead and the views that we were about to experience as we made our way deeper into the mountains. The next morning, though, was not what I expected and not what I wanted. I was not out here for a snow wheeling trip. I was here to get up into the mountains. But for the moment, at least, the mountains didn't want to be seen. However, there were some signs that the sky could clear up, so we decided to make coffee and wait and see what was going to happen.
Good morning. It is turning out to be a beautiful morning. As the morning has gone on, the clouds have burned off and the mountains are all now covered with a nice white blanket of snow, which is so beautiful. So I can't wait to get back on the trail and go chase those mountains. But before we do, we have some work to do. 3 of us are gonna go over and become newbie ranch hands and try to help them get those cows in the back of the truck. So that should be interesting at the very least. Think you're up to it? Think you can be a real ranch hand?
Yes.
I know Lance can. What about you, Chris?
Absolutely.
We've been here for the last 3 days moving our mother herd, and these 3 little ones keep getting out, and so we've got these stragglers to get.
So how long have you all been ranching?
This is our 5th year growing the herd,
Uh-huh.
and then we're in our 2nd year of selling beef.
So Jeff, what's your favorite piece of ranching?
My favorite piece.
Yeah, what do you love about ranching?
It's something different every day. I mean, yeah, you wake up and you think you have it all planned out and you know exactly what you're gonna do, and then it changes and every single day is different. And I like the physicality of it. I like being outdoors, and I like doing something that not everybody does.
So how do people get Hindman beef?
So it's super easy. Just go to our website. We primarily sell shares, but we do have smaller boxes.
So what Jeff is doing is moving the fencing to kind of make a little bit more of an alleyway here to just funnel the cows into the right place. And apparently these little guys are pretty athletic and they're small enough that they can slip through this fence over here, and if they do, it means another day of waiting.
As it turned out, one of the cows did slip through, but we did our best to wrangle up the remaining 2.
Go ahead and put them in. There we go. Come on. Come on, girl. Yeah. Nice. Here we go. Woo-hoo.
Well, we got 2 out of 3, and as you can see, just for 2 cows, it takes a lot of effort just to get them into that trailer and move to a new pasture. So I don't know what we're gonna do about this strangler, the white cow that's out here. I think they're gonna make a game plan here in just a second.
The plan was an old-fashioned game of round 'em up with Jeff on his 4-wheeler and Mia on her horse. The problem is that this was a young cow and its mother had already been transferred to a new pasture, so it was a bit extra skittish. Herding just one cow can be a lot harder than a group of them, and the snow made it slippery on Mia's horse to make quick turns, and the cow was in no way interested in returning to the corral. But they stayed patient, worked as a team, and in the end, got the cow where it needed to be so it could be reunited with its mother in the other pasture.
We had fun being cowboys for a day. Now it's time to go check out those mountains. The sun is coming back out again. The clouds are moving by. The mountains look fantastic. So let's go see if we can get a closer look.
As much as I loved my time at the ranch, we were here to get closer to the mountains. So the 3 of us headed back towards Mackey to try to find a way in. As the day had worn on, the sky became clearer with clouds that, instead of blocking the view of the mountains, now just made them look more dramatic. In Mackey, we met a local who gave us a tip on a canyon road that might still be open if we were dumb enough to try and drive it. And if you don't know this by now, let me put the record straight. We are definitely dumb enough. The The weather was still deciding if it was going to start snowing again, but the sun breaking through the clouds kept the road decently dry. That is, until we ran out of dirt and into snow. Now, I wasn't really prepared to do much serious snow wheeling on this trip. In fact, I had hoped for mostly dirt. But this is March in Idaho. One day it can be 65 degrees, the next day it can snow 13 inches, so I should have known better. That said, as we started getting closer to the canyon, the snow on the road was pretty light and not much of a problem. Until we took a few turns and started hitting drifts. Now these are spring drifts, crusty on top and who knows what you get underneath. So I was 100% momentum driving, bulldozing the trail so the guys could follow. But even with the trail to follow, it wasn't easy. Chris was driving his wife's Gladiator on 34-inch Toyo open countries, and they were not happy in this type of snow. But the canyon was just ahead of us, and I could see the 10,700-foot peak of Sunset Mountain starting to show itself. So we agreed that the juice might be worth the squeeze to keep plowing ahead. After all, we were here to see these mountains. So I kept in the lead position and let my big V8 cut trail as we reached the beginning of Elbow Canyon. The canyon is lined with rocky spires that gives you the feeling you're entering a Wild West movie, and you might find someone like John Wayne or Kevin Costner smoking a cigar at the end of the road. The canyon floor is covered in sage and grass with sparse tree covers in spots that probably get the most shade and water during the summer months. And while I was glad to be here to catch images of the mountains with snow still on them, I couldn't help but imagine how beautiful this place will be in the spring and summer when everything is lush green. Now, I was running 38-inch Nitto Trail Grapplers, which are mud terrain tires, so there was no floating on the snow. My tires basically acted like snow blenders, shredding a path forward. But as soon as I lost momentum, I was stuck. And when Chris tried to come pull me out, he also got stuck and needed to get pulled out.
Okay, well, we got up into this canyon. We've all gotten a little stuck. The plan now is to get Chris's Gladiator out of the way so we can get the Raptor using momentum to come up the hill and pull me out. And then I think then we're going to keep going until we find a camp spot. But this has been a little bit of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But at least we're in this amazingly beautiful canyon. I wish the wind wasn't so strong, but the canyon itself is beautiful.
I wouldn't normally recommend using a tow stripe like this, but my Factor 55 kinetic rope was in my truck, which was at K Suspension back in Boise, getting a new transfer case.
So we decided to back down, and the reason is the snow's getting worse. And this kind of snow is kind of the worst. It's like icy on top, sugar snow kind of. You know, it's just, it's not the best. I really don't like spring snow driving or camping. And so this is why we're gonna head back down. I think there's some spots we can camp still in the canyon, just farther back, that had a little bit less snow, and maybe we're out of the wind a little bit.
The good news is that the spot we found to camp put us right at the feet of this part of the range. The bad news, if you can call it that, is that comparatively speaking, these are the smaller mountains in the range.
A bronco duck. It's probably one of the ugliest things I've ever seen.
Like right on top of your bumper. It's a buck. It's a buck. Yeah, a bronco duck, because you have a weird Jeep.
For the record, we don't care what kind of rig you drive, you'll get a hard time from us regardless. Getting our campsite as close to the canyon wall as possible helped with the wind, but it also meant we lost our sunlight and would spend the rest of the day in the shadow. And while we were pretty cold, we couldn't complain about the view, and the company was as good as it gets. And so we did that glorious thing friends do when they're alone in the woods. We wasted time in the best possible way, until it was time for some serious work.
Well, we made it to camp, and it is a beautiful camp. It is cold, though, and windy. Thank God for these Carhartt insulated overalls. God, they are a game changer. Goes from frigid to like pretty comfortable. Anyway, The reason I'm talking to you is because it is time for steaks. So we're using the Solo stove. We're gonna cook these steaks over an open flame, and Lance is just about to put the steaks on. So let's go look at this this meat.
As evening set in and the sky turned from blue to pink and purple, it reminded me that if you want to see beautiful things in the world, you have to go to beautiful places. And sometimes that takes more work than others, but it's almost always worth it.
And just like that, the wind stopped, it warmed up, and we have this incredibly still, peaceful night. The steaks were amazing. We're just gonna sit around by the fire now and hang out and enjoy this spot that we are totally alone in, somewhere in the Lost River Range. So life is good. Good night. See you in the morning. Morning. It is a beautiful but very cold morning. The sun is up, but it's not shining down in this canyon yet, and so we were just kind of in the cold shadow of the morning. And the plan for the day is to hop in the rigs, go drive north of the mountain range. There's a pass that goes through the mountain range that's north of here. It might be closed, it might be snowed in, but we want to go take a peek and see if we can make it. If not, I think we're just going to explore some side roads that go up into the Lost River Range. There's some amazing mountains. In fact, Idaho's tallest mountain, Mount Bora, is one of those mountains. So who knows, maybe we'll check that out as well. But for now, we're going to get going.
When it's cold outside, it's nice to have a setup that packs away quickly. And in just a few minutes, we were ready to roll out of the canyon to go find better views of the mountains. Since we'd effectively plowed the road the day before, the drive out was easy and scenic. As we were leaving the canyon, a herd of deer decided to race across the road and up the side of the mountain next to us. This would be the first of many animal encounters we have today. But I was on a mission to get to the mountains, so we found a promising side road that led toward the 11,400 foot peak of Mount McCaleb and gave it a shot.
This road was looking really promising until we came up to this gate. It's a public road that passes through private property, and the private property signs are pretty explicit. So I think we're gonna try to find another road around, even though it just always bothers me that there's private property that blocks access to public roads. So anyway, we'll just look around, see if we can find something even better.
And this is when I started to swing for the fences. The second tallest mountain in the range is called Leatherman Peak. It stands at 12,228 feet, and it's impressive to look at. I noticed there was a road that ran up the canyon towards it and terminated around 9,000 feet. But the road looked steep and a little sketchy, so naturally, I was excited to drive it. The road climbs about 2,400 feet in elevation in only a few miles, and it's basically straight up the mountain. My goal was to get close enough that I could capture the very top of the Leatherman Peak, something that's impossible to do unless you climb up there on foot, fly a helicopter, or in my case, get close enough with the drone. The road turned snow cover about half the way up, but we kept pushing, hoping to get as high as we possibly could while Old Man Leatherman was still clearly visible.
Well, we have reached the point of return. The road gets really, really steep. It's full of this terrible spring snow, which is my least favorite snow. It's really slick. You can't get any, you can't float on top of it. It just sinks down. And so we have turned around. We are just creeping back down because it is really slick out here. The road itself isn't very dangerous. There are a couple sketchy parts where you might slide off into something that's not very good. But for the most part, it seems like there's a good bank on either side. But we're still just gonna go slow and be cautious. Man, I wanna come back up here when there's no snow on the road. I wanna be closer to those mountains. That is Leatherman Peak, which is the big rocky peak up there. It is just phenomenal. I just love this place.
After Leatherman, we decided to roll the dice and see if we could find a way to reach the Passamaquoddy River Valley on the backside of the mountains. We knew it was a long shot, but we headed for Double Spring Pass anyway, along the way, passing the tallest mountain in the range, Mount Bora. The road was in good shape, but during this time of year, road conditions can change around each corner, and sure enough, we hit snow. But the road looked as if it had been plowed, which gave me a new hope for making it through. We came to a drifted out section of the road, but the drifts were just deep enough to make it feel like you were on a little roller coaster. Not enough to turn us around yet. Soon enough, the plowed section of the road came to an end, and we had to figure out whether or not it was worth the risk to continue.
Well, we've reached another pretty snowy section. I don't think we really want to spend the rest of the day fighting with spring snow. And when I look ahead, I can see that the snow has been kind of melting off the corners of the road, creating kind of a shelf that is really easy to slide down if you're driving it. So we're gonna turn around and find plan D or E or F at this point. But the good news is we have like no shortage of amazing options. So we're just gonna regroup and find another place to go.
We headed right for the Mount Everest of Idaho, Mount Bora, which is Idaho's tallest and most famous mountain. In the summer, this place is mobbed with climbers who base camp at the campground near the trailhead wanting to try their hand at scaling Bora. But only the dreamers and fools come out here in March while there's still snow from top to bottom, which meant that we had the entire place to ourselves. Well, almost to ourselves. There was a large herd of deer having an early dinner in the grassy fields on our way in. The herd heard the rumble of the engines and wasn't sure if we were friend or foe. But these does had nothing to worry about. Deer season has long passed. So we made our way into the campground to see if there was flat enough ground for camping.
Well, we made it to Mount Bora, and it is stunning. It is the tallest mountain in Idaho at 12,600 some odd feet, but it's surrounded by other very tall mountains that are 11, 12,000 feet. And so this whole mountain range is something that's absolutely majestical. The mountains have different kinds of rocks. They have different, like almost like glacial striations on them in some places. And it's one of 3 mountain ranges in this part of Idaho that are completely stunning. Boy, I just feel blessed to live here. I'm so glad that we made it here. We're gonna be camping in the snow, which I didn't want to be snow camping on this trip, but I thought it was gonna be a possibility. So I'm fine, I'm prepared for it. But it's definitely worth it to come here and be able to camp at the feet of these mountains, especially because we have the entire place to ourselves. There is no one else around for miles and miles and miles. I think the 3 of us are just going to soak it in and have an amazing time watching the sunset across the valley, watching the mountains change color, and waking up to this in the morning. Cannot wait. Dinner, I think, is going to be more Hindman beef. They gave us this really great ground beef, and so I think Lance is going to cook up some burger patties, essentially. And I'm just thinking about that. It makes me hungry, so I might go check in with him and see how it's going. So I was just walking back to see when Lance was going to start cooking dinner, and I noticed there's some sheep up here on this ridge, and I think they might be longhorn sheep. I wonder if I can just take a closer look. Maybe I can fly the drone up there and get a closer look without spooking them.
It turns out the sheep were longhorns, which in all my Idaho travels I've never seen in person before. This herd had found a little grassy knoll where the sun had melted the snow and were happily munching away. But they did take a second to stop and pose for the camera, which I very much appreciated. Setting up camp here was something else, considering the foothills up to Bora were 9,600 feet in elevation. As evening began to set in, Lance was busy doing what he always does around this time of night, cooking meat and chewing a cigar.
Yes, what are you making?
Some beautiful Hyman burger.
The Heinemann ground beef all comes from a single cow and has zero pink slime. If you don't know what that is, Google it and be prepared to be grossed out. Sometimes it's better not to know what's in your food, but in this case, knowing what's not in your food made me feel much better. Up here, it feels like you're at the feet of the gods, and I'd like to think the hardy travelers who find their way here are granted some type of reward, even if it's just a unique view and the satisfaction of knowing you are here. The next morning, Bora was telling us to leave. It was 7 a.m. and in the course of 20 minutes, we had 2 inches of snow piling up. So we decided to call an early start to the day and pack up. When you're snow camping, the more snow you can keep off your tent and gear, the happier you'll be when you get home and have to air everything out. But as we finished packing up and started heading down, the snow started lightening up, which made the landscape go from almost zero visibility to a mystical and mysterious vibe. We left the same way we came in, alone. Well, almost alone. Again, our friendly herd of deer was back and just as panicky as yesterday at the sound of our engines. Well, we were just about to air up and hit the highway, but this has been an incredible adventure. It's been full of new people, weather surprises, and most of all, these incredible mountains of the Lost River Range. So until next time, I'm Will from Venture to Roam. Thanks for watching.